Welcome to a special edition of Eye on Education. I'm your host, Ed Lecius, and we continue with our series of candidates who are running for the Nashua Board of Education in the November 2nd election. Joining us now is Rob Johnson. Rob, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Education.
Pleasure to be here.
So for the people who don't know you, and you've got an interesting background, who is Rob Johnson?
I'm a graphic designer. I do branding and packaging. I was originally from Lexington, Massachusetts, lived in New York City for 20 years, did design for companies like Estee Lauder, and then ended up having 2 kids and deciding we need to be out of the city. So we packed up, we moved to Nashua. My brother lived here, so he recommended it. We were in the New Searles district, loved it, and I got the fortunate experience of serving on the New Searles PTO while I was there.
So you're also running your own business out of here. We were talking before coming on the air. Yes. You have the best of all worlds.
Yes,
you get to work in New York, in Nashua.
Yes. Yeah, my phone is still a New York City area code, so I get to have the best of everything.
What drew you to graphic arts, if I may ask, and design?
Originally, when I was in school, I was a cartooning major. I wanted to go into comic books, but I found my strength was more in design. So after graduating, I worked at the school and I took extra courses in design, and it ended up just meshing well and being a good field to get into.
Why the Board of Education?
That's a good question. Basically, concern. I saw what was going on. I, like a lot of parents, was watching, seeing how everything was going. And I had a lot of worries about who I was seeing running. And basically a week before the deadline, I decided, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to run. I got about 60 so petitions signed, got them all in on the last day, and here I am.
Should you be elected, what do you see as the top 3 issues that will be facing the new board?
I mean, the first issue, we can't pretend it's not there, is COVID. We're going to have to deal with that still. Ideally, I believe that masking has shown to be working, and I really do believe in vaccinations, and I hope that people can get vaccinated and bring us up to those levels where they've discussed the matrix, where if we hit certain levels, we can start moving away from masking, and that's what I hope to see. I also know redistricting is going to be a big thing with the new middle school, so that's going to play an important role. And we're also going to have, I'm not sure, but bullying and fighting have been something that's been brought up. I actually worked as an activities coordinator at college, and part of the thing I implemented there, although higher education, was a peer program where we would have peers work with students that were having struggles in school to bring them up. And I think that's something that could work on the high school level here.
You mentioned the redistricting. I will tell you up front that I am on that committee. As a board member, that would be probably one of the big votes that will be coming up. Mm-hmm. In general, how would you like to see this roll out and come to pass?
It's hard to say without much, except for cursory knowledge of it, what's going on. I mean, we're going to have to look at areas. I have seen things like we're in the New Searles district, where the student population seems a lot smaller than it was, where Bicentennial has a higher level of students. So we sort of have to try and reach that balance. And obviously it's going to be difficult because we have to keep everyone happy. But while we figure out the middle schools, we also should balance out the elementary schools so that the student levels work out a little better.
One of the other issues that will be facing the new board will be the hiring of a new superintendent of schools. Given what's transpired previously, do you think that might impact the quality of candidate that may apply in Nashua?
I would say sure. I mean, people look at what happened with Dr. Mosley, and, I could understand being concerned about coming into the school as a new superintendent. And we have to let them know that we're going to being a new Board of Education, we're going to work with them. We're going to hopefully make it an easy transition for them. At the same time, we want them to be an independent mind in the whole thing and be able to come up with new ideas that may or may not agree with what the board is doing and work together to reach compromises and make the education system better for our students.
What other qualities would you be looking for as a board member and a new superintendent?
I think we need someone who's got experience, who knows how to work with a similar budget, someone who is going to be independently minded. I don't think we want someone who will just toe the line. I think we want someone, like I said, who will have their own thoughts and their own ideas that they bring to the table. That's what I like to see.
Your background also gives you a little advantage in hopefully returning civility to the board meetings. What will you bring to the table with respect to trying to put that back on a quieter plateau?
I think the biggest key thing will be communication. I think where we suffer right now is we need to be able to have our ideas and have programs that work, but we need to be able to communicate that clearly to the parents. I think a lot of parents tune in and they see it and they don't have an understanding of what went into decisions that were made. They don't know about, the meetings that happened with, let's say, Board of Health. So they're coming in on the fly and they're just reactionary to it. I think if we have a better level of communication, a better level of sharing the information that we have, we can try to have more civility with our meetings and with the parents and the board.
Would you describe yourself as a mediator, a facilitator, or a common ground person?
I would probably say a mediator. It's been a role that I've had in the past. Having two high school age students, I think there's a lot of mediation there. So that's where I tend to be. I think of myself as someone who can listen to both sides of an argument and while maybe having my own viewpoint, be able to understand where that person is coming from.
Looking at the budget, dollars are getting tighter and tighter. How would you approach, as one individual on that board, if elected, restructuring, if you will, for lack of a better word right now, the budget to make the most with the money you have?
It's going to be difficult. We're going to have to take a hard look at everything, and we know there's going to be issues. We've seen problems with school lunches at some of the schools due to lack of food that we can get in and serve. We've definitely had problems with substitute teachers and with having a high level of those substitutes with what we can offer. So we have to try to find money where we can. I don't know fully how we do that yet, but I'm sure being on the board, we can look at that and figure out the best places to put that money and where we can maneuver to get a higher level of teacher and a higher level of even the substitutes we bring in for our kids.
If elected, what's the one thing you would like to be remembered for being able to change during your time as a member of the Board of Education?
I think, like you said, I think we want to bring civility. I would like that. I would like to be the person who's able to communicate and present to people the whys, the whats, the reasons we come up with the decisions we do. I think social media is where we see a lot of toxicity, but we can also use that platform to let people know what information we have and why we're making these decisions.
Finally, Rob, what would you like to say to the voters of Nashua who are watching us here today?
I just like to say I hope to bring communication and compromise and a level of civility to the board that we need in Nashua. And I hope to work with whoever my fellow board members are to bring about that in the city.
Rob, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Voters, his name is Robert Johnson on the ballot, but he goes by Rob.
Yes.
And he's been our guest here on this special edition of Eye on Education. We're presenting the candidates who are running for the National Board of Education on the November 2nd ballot. I'm Ed Leicius. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.